Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to our Get Astrologic Now YouTube channel. And today I want to talk about how to predict marriage, relationship, and possibly how to predict pregnancy and having children. And in any prediction, the first thing that you have to know is what is the karaka for what you're looking for. For example, when you're looking for marriage and relationship, in a man's chart, you're looking for Venus. Venus represents the wife. And in Vedic astrology, Jupiter represents the husband in a female's chart. But we know in the West, many times Mars can be relative to meeting the man of your life. And so when you're looking at these planets, pay attention to the karakas, and especially Venus for both male or female, based on the fact that it's the karaka for relationships. Remember, the planets that give or attribute to action and things happening in a chart are always going to be Jupiter and Rahu. And Saturn. Don't forget Saturn. Saturn makes results and makes things happen. If you can find a time that all three, Jupiter, Saturn, and Rahu, are aspecting a particular house involved with relationships or children, you're going to find that this will be the time that it happens. So let me talk about that. So the houses that you're looking for, first of all, is the fifth house is the house that deals with meeting someone. It's courtship, it's love, it's opening your heart. And what I would look for, first of all, is Jupiter aspecting the fifth house? Is Jupiter aspecting the ruler of the fifth house? And is Jupiter aspecting the fifth house from the moon? Okay? All of these variables must be looked for if you're looking for when somebody's going to meet someone. And the way that I say this is, if you have 3 hits, you've got a positive prediction. You can adamantly say this will happen. But the other aspect is, let me explain a few other things. Now, when you're looking at the fifth house could be meeting someone and it can be having children. And what is the karaka for having children? Jupiter. Jupiter is the karaka for children. And many times you will find that somebody will be in a Jupiter dasha as well when it's time to have children, whether or not it is the Jupiter Bhukti subcycle or Jupiter Mahadasha. And whenever women enter into their Jupiter Mahadasha and they're of childbearing years and they're married, the time is right, that you can definitely predict children. So we're looking at Jupiter aspecting the fifth house, aspecting the ruler of the fifth house, aspecting the fifth house from the moon, plus the planet that rules the fifth house from the moon, and Jupiter all by itself, if Jupiter's aspecting Jupiter, because it's the karaka for children, okay? Another aspect is you could look at the Saptamsha chart. And if you're looking at the Saptamsha chart, which is D7, it is the chart for children. You will look at the fifth house in terms of the dasha and the bhukti. Are they ruling the fifth house or are they in the fifth house? And sometimes you can look at the dasha and the bhukti. Are they 5 signs away from one another? This would be all the clues that I would look for having children. And for getting married, once you've met that person and the fifth house is activated, you want to look at the 7th house for marriage. And for the 7th house of marriage, remember, you're going to do the same thing that we just went through. Jupiter's aspect to the 7th. And when you have Saturn aspecting the 7th at the same time, then this is a point of manifestation. When you have both Jupiter and Saturn aspecting a house, it brings manifestation of what that house is for. So let's say you have Saturn in the 5th aspecting the 7th by its full aspect, and you have Jupiter in the 1st aspecting the 7th by its full aspect, which is a matter of fact, if you have Cancer rising right now, which it's 2014, this will be happening. So there would be marriage. As a matter of fact, I might note that my son has a Cancer rising and he is getting married this April. So both Saturn and Jupiter are aspecting the 7th house. Plus Rahu. Rahu, being in the sign of Virgo right now, is aspecting the 7th house. So you've got Rahu, Jupiter, and Saturn all aspecting the 7th house if you want to predict marriage. Also look at it from the moon. So 7th house from the moon. And remember, also aspecting the rulers of the 7th house. So you're going to want to have Jupiter, Saturn, or Rahu aspecting the planet that rules the 7th house from the ascendant, also from the moon. And one last thing I need to add to that is make sure you notice the Dara Karaka. Now, the Dara Karaka is the planet that's lowest in zodiacal degree. This represents marriage and the marriage partner. So if you have Jupiter, Saturn, or Rahu aspecting the Dara Karaka, this is another aspect that can indicate marriage. And then, of course, what chart, divisional chart, are you going to look at in terms of marriage? The Navamsa. So when you're looking at the Navamsa, you're going to want to find if the Dasha ruler or the Bhukti ruler are in the 7th house in the Navamsa, or rule the 7th house in the Navamsa, or that they are in opposition to one another. They're in opposite signs. This would depict marriage as well, because remember they're 7-7 from each other, and when you have the Dasha Bhukti in opposition, it's always going to be about relationships. And particularly if you have the Mahadasha and the Bhukti planet is a positive planet, let's say it's Venus, then you can predict marriage based on that. But let's say that you're in Saturn, Rahu, Mahadasha, and Rahu goes to the 7th house from Saturn. This could be a divorce. This could be a breakup, you see, because they're 7-7. And once again, I'm talking about the Mahadasha ruler and the Bhukti ruler being in opposition. Pay attention to that. So with this, I think I've given all of my prerequisites and clues to understand the prediction of relationships by looking at the houses, the aspects, and looking at Rahu, Saturn, and Jupiter. Those are the primary priorities that I'm going to look for, aspecting the 7th house, the ruler of the 7th house, the 5th house, the ruler of the 5th house. Always remember to look at your karakas, look at the divisional charts, and once again, their aspects. So with that, I think I'd like to close with this. I think I've given you some valuable information in terms of figuring out your own charts and your friends' charts to make these very powerful predictions concerning relationships and children. Thank you.